Hey everybody, Joe here again, and I have another little tip today for you guys. Today we're going to talk about deposits, and you might know them as their more technical term as what's called an EMD, which just stands for Earnest Money Deposit. And today we're going to cover some things relating to the EMD. An EMD is a sum of money that is put into an escrow account by the buyer once there's an accepted contract. Basically, what this does is this functions to show the seller that the buyer is actually committed to purchasing the property and is willing to put what we call in the industry skin in the game, which essentially just means that the buyer is showing that they're very serious and that they're willing to put a certain percentage of the offering price into escrow as soon as the contract is accepted. Typically, industry standard for earnest money deposits, or EMD, or deposit, or earnest money, it's all the same term. Industry standard is about 3% of the total offer price. This can change, and it is negotiable, and the buyer doesn't have to put any amount in. But that is what is typically industry standard. We've seen some deposits as low as $1,000 and some as high as $100,000. But for the most part, on most properties, expect anywhere from about $10,000 to $30,000. Typically, an earnest money deposit is usually deposited into an escrow account within the first 3 days of an accepted offer. Sometimes, again, this can be negotiated. All terms are negotiable in a real estate transaction. And if the buyer needs more time to move money from one account to another, they can ask for 5 days or 6 days. Typically, though, that's not a great thing to do if you're a buyer. One of the ways that sellers judge the strength of an offer is by their deposit, both the amount and the time frame that it gets in. I mean, keep in mind, if you were selling an item, especially something as big as your house, and the buyer said, hey, I'll buy it from you, but I need 7 days to put a little money together, versus someone who says, yeah, I'll buy your house, and you know what? Within 24 hours, I'll give you $20,000 to hold it. Which one looks stronger to you? So it's important that when you're making your offer and you're thinking about submitting your offer, that you do consider the earnest money deposit seriously, because it can make a difference for you. So you think to yourself, well, as the buyer, I got a lot of risk. I'm going to put $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 into escrow, and I don't even know if I'm going to buy the house. I still have to have inspections, and I need to make sure there's clear title, and I need to make sure that the disclosures are satisfactory. Well, that's where all the contingencies come into play. And I'm going to do another video down the line that details the contingencies, the different contingencies and what they are. I've covered this lightly in a previous video, but I've got a couple more questions from people about it, so I'll dive into that a little bit deeper. However, it's important to know that until all of the buyer's contingencies are removed in writing, that earnest money deposit is refundable. So let's say you put $20,000 into escrow as your earnest money deposit on the first house that you're buying. And let's say you're in escrow for a week and you have your inspector come out, and the inspector says, hey, the roof is no good and the foundation's no good and the plumbing is no good, and you're going to need to put some money into this thing right away. Well, instead of continuing on and buying a house that could be a money pit or might not be the right fit for you, you can say, you know what? I want to cancel this transaction now. I've not released any contingencies, and because I have an inspection contingency, I'd like to cancel this agreement and have my earnest money deposit refunded. One way that you can make your offer appear more aggressive and more solid and really show the seller that you're committed to the property is by shortening that period of time. So instead of saying, I need 17 days, you say, hey, I'll lower it down to 10 days. I'll get in, I'll do my inspections. 10 days is typically plenty of time to get an inspector out. And that way you can show that you're still confident. And if you have the right lender and you've positioned yourself well and you have a good agent that can kind of work these terms, you can still be covered under your contingency period and not risk losing your deposit, all while making your offer much stronger. It's important to realize that you need to have a strategy when you're going into submitting an offer. There's a lot of things to consider, and that's why it's really important that you, your lender, and your agent are all on the same page and they're all working towards a common goal, which is getting your offer accepted. Things like full loan approval, shortened contingency periods, all of those things can make a huge difference. They can keep your money protected, but also give you a leg up on the competition. So I know I covered a lot in this video in a short amount of time. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead, pop those questions into the comments. I'm more than happy to explain anything further in depth. If you'd like to send me an email or a DM, you can do so. I really hope you guys enjoyed the content. Please, if you did like the content, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and I would love to see you back on the channel again soon.